Okay, so I am back with another vlog. My goal was to try and do these consistently every month. Not quite happened so far, but hopefully moving forwards I can be more consistent with these, he says. So, in this video, I just wanted to kind of put a bit more meat on the bones really in terms of the games-based approach. Talk an awful lot about games, playing games, do it an awful lot in the group coaching, a lot in the individual coaching as well. And I just kind of wanted to go a little bit go into more detail on exactly how it works and why it works in terms of the juniors developing their skills. Obviously the mental and the mindset side of things is important. We work on that a lot as well, but talking here just specifically about the golf specific skills and the juniors developing those skills. Okay, so if we look first of all at what would be, we could term as the more traditional approach, which would be that a junior turns up for a golf lesson, myself as the golf coach provides them with information such as this is how to hold the club, this is how to stand, this is how to move the club in your backswing, etc, etc. I provide them that information, they then process that information and a movement is created, have an output, moving the club however they're going to move it to try and hit the ball wherever they're going to try and hit it. So that would be more of what we can say the traditional approach. Now, it's an approach that I use a lot in my coaching, a lot of research and academia has backed up that approach, and as I say, I use it a lot and it definitely works. But there is also a different approach which works very well as well, and again is also backed up by a lot of research, which would be the ecological approach. So for the sake of keeping it simple, we will call this the games-based approach. Now what I would say, just a quick caveat, this is also an approach that I use an awful lot. This is the one that I'm going to focus on in this video. It's an approach that is used generally in the junior coaching, the group coaching, and as I said, a lot of the individual coaching as well. But it's not saying one is better than the other. It's all about context. There is a time and a place. It just depends on the individual, on the environment. It depends on lots and lots of factors. It's all about the context. And so generally, not all the time, but generally, in junior group coaching and in junior individual lessons, this more ecological approach or the games-based approach is, I feel, the better approach to take. As I say, generally with junior coaching, but not all of the time. I want to make that clear. So for this games-based approach, it's kind of seen differently. So as I say, the traditional approach would say that myself as the coach is here to provide them, give them that information, they then process it and create their movement. So what that approach is saying, that more traditional approach, is that there isn't enough information in the environment for the juniors to learn the skills they need, for them to learn, to develop, to learn how to move, to get that golf ball to go where they want it to go. Also learn how to move the golf club to then get the golf ball to go where they want it to go. So the games-based approach would say that there is enough information in the environment. So, for example, this dog here is providing enough information for the junior to learn how to move, to learn how to solve the problem, to learn how to get the golf ball where they want it to go. And they don't need me as the coach to give them that information. Now, we could argue I am giving the information indirectly because I'm creating the environment, I'm setting up these props, but I'm not directly telling them, the environment is telling them. Okay, so then if we look in a little bit more detail how that would work. So it's all about what we would call environmental affordances. So this dog is an environmental affordance. All the games we put on the range, stick on a basket, all the stuff on the putting green, all the props, everything the juniors see in front of them are environmental affordances. And it comes down to how they perceive things, and perceiving all of these props in terms of what it affords them for action and not perceiving them in terms of their actual physical properties. So a couple of examples. What I mean by that is cats tend to go to sleep or lie down in some weird and wonderful places. For example, a cat lying down on the top of a banister. Now, a cat does not see that banister for its individual physical properties. It does not see it as a banister. He sees it by what it affords it. It sees it as a place to sleep. So that cat is not seeing it as a banister, it's seeing it as a place to sleep. Because it sees it as a place to sleep, it then goes to sleep or lies down on that banister. How the cat perceived that banister created an action. It went and laid down on it. Okay, so if we then use an example of I'm sure we've all been in the place where wherever we are, I don't know, a tight room full of boxes or a restaurant, something like that, walking along and all of a sudden, oh, there's a bit of a tight gap and we kind of have to go this way to squeeze through the gap, and then we're back going this way again. Okay, so in that instance, again, same thing. We're not perceiving that by its physical properties. We're not seeing that as, let's say, a gap between two boxes. We're seeing that as a space to fit our body through. So I'm walking along, okay, here's a space to fit my body through. I'm seeing it by what it affords me. It affords me a place to fit my body through, so then I'm going to turn to the side and I'm going to fit my body through it. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of we're perceiving things by what they afford us, we're not perceiving them by their own individual properties. So, case in point then, a junior golfer is not going to see this for its physical properties and is not going to see it as a dog, is not going to see it as Winston, is going to see it as something to hit their golf ball at. It's not just a dog, it's something to hit their golf ball at. Seeing it by what it affords them. It affords them the action of hitting their golf ball at it. Okay? Another way to think about it is, how I like to think about it is it's an invite. All these props, the banister for the cat, the gap to squeeze our body through, it's an invite for action. It's an invite to turn our body this way and walk through it. It's an invite for the cat to lie down on that banister. This is an invite to hit the ball at it. Just did a video the other day with moles on the putting green, creating lots and lots of gaps where they have to hit them through the moles. Again, in that putting game, they're not seeing it as a physical gap between two moles. It's seeing it as a place to hit a ball through, an invite to hit that ball through. Okay, so understanding that perception is really, really key. So then it's an invite for action. It's an invite to hit the ball at that dog. If we then go back to where we've squeezed ourselves through the gap, okay, now I'm sure we've all been in that place. As I say, got to squeeze ourselves through the gap. When it comes to it and we see it as a place to squeeze our body through, okay, we're probably not going, whoever, Dave, can you just kind of tell me how to do this? I'm not sure. Okay, well, you need to turn your body 90 degrees this way. Okay, I've done that. What do I do now? Put your arms by the sides. Okay, I've done that. What do I do now? Move your left foot this way, right foot this way. Okay, thank you. What do I do now? Okay, right? That probably didn't happen when you did that. You probably just went, I've got to go this way. Okay, I'm through it. Here I go. You didn't have anybody instructing you, telling what you to do. And what that is, another term in the games-based approach, is self-organization. So you organized your body in a way that fit through the gap. And that, in a nutshell, is what the juniors do when they see these environmental affordances, when they see these invites for action. They organize themselves. They have joints that can move in huge range of motion, and they figure out, okay, well, this is an invite. This is an invite to hit my ball at this. I know what I need to do. I'm now going to organize myself. I'm going to self-organize. I'm going to organize my joints in a way where when I move the club in a certain way, I'm going to hit the dog. So self-organization is through the environmental affordances, through the invites for action. They then self-organize themselves in a way to create that action from the invite that they had from the environment. So it's all about the environment. It's all about what's in the environment that's giving that information, and them then self-organizing. And we can change the environment in so many different ways for them to constantly keep having to come up with different movement solutions, different ways of self-organizing to keep developing their skills. And that is why ultimately, you know, every junior's golf swing looks a little bit different, and it should look a little bit different because everybody has their own unique approach. Classic thing, look at the top 50 golfers in the world. They all swing it a little bit different. And that's just one of many, many reasons. I'm not going to go into all the reasons right now. It's a separate video of why this approach works so well, because it helps the juniors to develop their own way of moving, their own way of self-organizing. They're not, you know, and again, I'm not going to go into this, although passionate about it, so I kind of want to, but it's just so much more fun and more enjoyable for them to learn how to move, to self-organize through playing the game than, okay, today we're going to talk about how to hold the club, or today we're going to learn how to stand. Hitting Winston is just way more fun. Anyway, going off on a tangent there. So that in a nutshell, there's kind of more to it than that, but that's just a simple version. Perceiving it by what it affords us. It's an invite for action, self-organizing, learning a movement solution to then complete the task and take up that invite that the props kind of in the environment gave out. Okay, so something else just to mention with that as well is, again, as I said at the start, it's not, that is the general approach taken. Sometimes within a game, I absolutely will just tell somebody, you need to do this, just because context is king, and it's not all about just sticking to that one way. But a lot of the time, again, through this games-based approach, it can just be through questioning. It can be just through asking them some good questions to get them thinking a little bit differently, to then start to self-organize in a slightly different way. Again, the key thing is through that question, it's their way. They're owning it. It's their swing. It's their way of doing it. And maybe just questioning them or adding some constraints in the environment that are going to push them into self-organizing in a slightly maybe more efficient way. So it's absolutely not a case of just standing back and doing nothing. It's a case of creating that environment, questioning them, changing the environment as it needs to be changed, so the juniors are always developing those movement solutions. They're self-organizing to create those solutions, to move the club in the way they need to move it to solve the problem. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The games-based approach is different from the traditional approach. That's it. It absolutely works. I've seen it work with so many juniors that have come in as beginners, develop their skills purely through responding to the environment, through self-organizing. I think it's a really, really, really great way, generally, a lot of the time, for juniors to develop their skills. Again, I'm not going to go into all the reasons why. Maybe that's another video. But as always, any questions, comments, if you just think I'm talking rubbish, absolutely welcome that. Love to be questioned on it, love to be asked about it, love to talk about it more. Very passionate about it indeed. So please feel free to get in touch. Thanks for watching.